All right. Who in here would consider themselves a control freak? And I know there's one because she was in my group. So I'm not the only one here that is either likes to be in control, thinks they're in control, or is maybe just recovering control freak. That's okay too. Um, and you know what? There are a lot of things in our lives that we are in control of, things that we can own. And there are actually a lot of different things we can influence with our actions and our words and all of that. But I grew up in a family where I was taught that I could do anything that I set my mind to. We were not a Christian family, but we had a lot of Christian values, and my parents did a great job raising three very strong, amazing women who know who they are. And so I had a lot of confidence and a solid understanding of who I was that allowed me to accomplish a lot, especially in the athletic arena. I was a level 10 gymnast at the age of 11. And then after quitting gymnastics, went on to compete later in life in two different Olympic trials competitions as a pole vaulter. So today, I'm going to share with you what it means to face adversity with a champion's mindset, not specifically in the athletic arena. While these lessons and these strategies can be used there, and if you still have an athletic career that you're searching for, or maybe you're helping your kids reach their athletic dreams, the champion's mindset can be used both on and off the athletic field. But I'm guessing most of you are going to use it off the athletic field at this point. um, as believers, God's victory is available to each of you. And so there is a champion inside of each of you. Whether or not you can claim that specific title as an athlete, you can claim it as a child of and a princess in God's kingdom. And so that's what I want you to walk away with today. Understanding that we have the same power inside of us that allowed Jesus to overcome and find victory over death. I want you to walk away today being able to tap into that power that God has given you so that you can also find victory over the struggles that you may be facing right now, or you will definitely face in the future, because we know you're either coming out of something or about to go into something. And then we have those small periods of rest in between. So, are you ready for that? Anyone? I see Francine nodding. Okay, I see. All right, there's some of you are ready. All right, I can't see everybody's faces. So, um, before I share with you exactly what a champion's mindset is, I want to tell you about a time when my life felt like it was a total failure, a time when I felt totally out of control. Let me rewind just a little bit. I met my husband, Will, our freshman year of college. We dated on and off for 5 years before getting married. Both of us were athletes. We were very strong-willed. We argued a lot. We struggled in our marriage, and I thought that was normal because marriage is hard. And so I did what I could and tried to pursue the tools and the information and anything that I could to help us get off of the crazy cycle. I would try to show him respect, so he would show me love. I would read books. We would go to Bible studies. I thought if I could just do something different, that things would get better. Because remember, I said I learned I could do anything that I set my mind to. Working hard had helped me accomplish a lot of things up to this point. When I was in high school, I set the goal to be a pole vaulter in college. I made a plan. I sat down with my club coach and my high school coach. We worked out the weightlifting plan I would do, the running plan I would do. I was working with my club coach during the fall and then with my regular coach during the spring. I kept doing the work even when it felt like it wasn't working. And my senior year was very rough and there was a lot of tears, but I was determined not to give up. I had a great family support system and coaches and teammates who were encouraging me, and I really believed I could do this. Ultimately, I did end up competing for the University of Washington track team. And while I was there, I set the goal to win an NCAA championship my senior year. I made this known to my coach. I said it out loud, so I had accountability. I committed to doing the hard things, even when it was really hard. And I prioritized this goal above other things and made sacrifices for it. I would try the crazy ideas that my coach would come up with. And if you knew him, he was trying all sorts of weird, crazy things, and I got to be his guinea pig. I had to push through challenges, even things like my pole breaking in the middle of the national championship competition my senior year. But ultimately, I did come out as the champion that day. And I can say that I am an NCAA champion today. I knew how to work hard for what I wanted. And because of that, I felt like I had control of the outcome. I had gotten a scholarship to compete in college. I had won a national championship. So when I picked up my husband's phone 5 years into marriage and uncovered over a couple of weeks a web of lies, I never felt more out of control in my life. I learned that our entire marriage had been based on lies. He had been messaging other women. He was addicted to pornography. He had been unfaithful while I was pregnant the year before, and also while we were engaged. My heart and my life as I knew it had been shattered into 1,000 pieces. I felt totally out of control. I felt broken, angry, powerless, confused, hurt, uncertain, afraid. And I don't think the word, I looked up, like, what is deep, deep sadness? I don't have the word for that, but that was what I felt. I didn't know what to do. I felt completely stuck. And I know that there are some of you here today who can relate to the exact feeling that I was feeling that day. Some of you have also had that exact same heartbreak. But even if you haven't experienced the exact same heartbreak, you have faced something hard. You heard Francine's story of heartbreak. You may have had a loss of your own, whether that's a job, finances, a loved one, a marriage. How many of you have faced something hard or are facing something hard and felt stuck or out of control, maybe broken, unsure how to move forward? I've already heard some of you say that you're wondering if you're good enough. We have all been through really hard and deeply painful things. And sometimes those imprint lies on us, like we've heard this morning. Now, I want to share with you some things to help you unpack those lies and really step into the victory that God has for you. In my story, I had some amazing friends who let me come and stay with them, who allowed me to grieve and to cry, to pray and to sleep and sit in my emotions, to process. Because if you saw in the chat, it's okay to not be okay sometimes. And it's okay to let other people take care of you when you're not able to take care of yourself. And I had an amazing community of people who took care of me and took care of my 1-year-old son. I flew out and I stayed in the basement of a friend of mine. And so in this process, I'm crying, praying, very confused, all of the feelings that I shared with you. And then it got to a point where I couldn't stay in the basement anymore, literally. I knew that I was broken. I had never, ever felt this level of pain before. And I knew that I did not want to stay that way forever. I didn't know exactly at this point what I wanted for my marriage, but I did know that I couldn't be in any healthy relationship if I didn't address the pain I was in. And so what I've realized is that the same mindset that helped me accomplish all those things as an athlete actually served me so well when I had to work through something even more difficult. And it's these components of a champion's mindset that are also available to all of you. So, give me a second. All right. The first thing is that you need to know your vision and clearly label what you are working for. In my situation, I knew that I wanted to rebuild my life, a life where this pain did not impact me on a daily basis in a major way. I could not live like this, angry and sad, out of control, and unable to take care of myself or my son. I wanted to be healed, no longer broken, but put back together more beautifully than who I had been before. I was scared as hell about what was in front of me. You heard me share all the emotions, and there were so many unknowns, but I wouldn't let my fear of the unknown stop me from overcoming the pain. So I committed to pursuing the result, even if it wasn't guaranteed, and even if I didn't feel like it. And when your desire for your vision is greater than the fears holding you back, that is when you will start to experience the change. You also need to pursue whatever it is that you need to get you from where you are to where you want to go. So there are going to be gaps when you have a vision or a goal or something you're working towards. You may not have everything you need yet to get you where you want to go. But what tools, knowledge, resources do you need to help you reach that goal? And what are you going to do to get those? You have to be willing to pursue it. Just like I did, like as an athlete, we can do the same things in the hard things that we face in life. You have to be willing to keep trying until you find something that works. In my story with my husband, I tried a lot of things. I had no clue about what I was going, like how to do this. So I talked with people who had been there. I read books. I met with wise counsel. One time I tried to find a support group and I went and it was not the right fit. It did not feel right, but I kept trying to find what I needed so that I could achieve the goal and the vision that I had as far as where I wanted to be and to overcome the pain. Now, I didn't have like a coach per se, but I did have someone who was walking me through this and an amazing group of teammates who supported me all the way through it. So make sure you have the support that you need. Coaches and teammates can be, names. They don't have to be an athletic teammate, but you know what I'm saying, a community of people who are going to inspire and encourage you, and the coaches that may be able to see from the outside some things that you don't see. Those are the people that you seek out for their knowledge to help you get where you want to go. Maybe they have some of the knowledge and resources that you need. The third thing is that you need to know your value so that you can walk in your victory. I want you to believe in yourself and who God made you to be. As I pursued my healing, I believed that I was worth the investment. I knew that I was still God's daughter, that He loved me, and that my husband's choices did not impact who I was. So I want you to believe in yourself and in the purpose and plan that God has for you and in the many amazing and unique gifts that He gave to you. I want you to understand that you are God's masterpiece. You are created in His image. And Ephesians 2:10 says exactly that. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do the good things he has planned for us long ago. He has already planned your victory. Now, when you have confidence in who God created you to be, you can have the grit and determination to face the challenges and get back up. Even when it's hard, even when it's really, really hard. And so I addressed my healing with the mindset of a champion. Slowly, I started to pick the pieces of my life back up. And you know what? That was scary as hell. It was very scary. I had no idea what was ahead of me, but the whole experience forced me to believe, or forced me to realize, that the sense of control that I had always thought that I had was not exactly what I thought it was. When someone else is being dishonest in your marriage, there is no amount of work that I could have done that would have fixed it, because I'm not actually in control of anyone else. And as we both pursued healing ourselves and ultimately for our marriage, I had to accept that I was not in complete control of the outcome. I couldn't make my husband do the things that were required to heal in our marriage. I couldn't make him not cheat on me again. I couldn't make him respect the boundaries that I put in place to protect ourselves. And I couldn't make him decide that investing in our marriage was what he wanted. He had to decide that, and I had to decide what I was going to do for my own healing. God gave us all free will, and my husband, Will, had to decide to make many of his own decisions along the way. What I learned is that there are some things that I am in control of, some things that I need to own. But even in the previous success that I had had, I was not actually in total control of the outcome, even if I felt like I was. I could show up and I could do my best. I could prepare, plan, pursue what I needed to get me from where I was to where I wanted to be. And I could walk into any situation with confidence. I had control of my mindset, and I would have the mindset of a champion. And what I could trust is that God was going to be with me no matter what, that God would work this all out for the good of his bigger kingdom, that God was in control and his big plan is always better than my little plan. Sometimes those plans look the same and we get exactly what we want. Sometimes we win and we end up on top of the podium. And sometimes we don't get to see this side of heaven, how God is going to use something that felt so terrible to us to do something so much bigger than we will ever know. But when life hits you hard and you show up with a champion's mindset, here is what I can tell you will happen. You will recognize your own worth and believe in yourself because of who God created you to be. You will commit to doing the work and filling in the gaps however it is needed. And you will decide to show up no matter what, because your vision is driving you and it's worth going after no matter what the outcome. And no matter what the outcome, you will have victory because God will use each and every experience for the good of his kingdom when we let him. He will use every success, every failure. He will knit it together for your purpose because you have a purpose. And every experience that you have lived today and will live in the future is shaping you for it. Do you believe that? Do you? Because it is time for you to believe who God created you to be, to own it, and then to live it and do your thing. Because the world needs who you are, uniquely you, your gifts, your experiences, your mess, and your message. I don't want you to stay broken, believing the lies, hiding behind a mask, I want you to step into the champion that is inside each one of you. I want you to have a vision for what you're working toward. Determine what you need to get from where you are to where you want to go, and know your value and walk in victory. We never know how God is going to provide this victory, but we can absolutely trust that He will. I could never have imagined what God would do with my pain. While my marriage was ultimately just restored, my husband chose to do his own work, and we have 2 amazing sons because of it. And now we have something so much better than we ever could have had before, because it's based on honesty and authenticity. But God used my deepest pain for another purpose too. And it led me to start the Journey Beyond Betrayal. 10 years to the day after I discovered my husband had been physically unfaithful. 10 years from the day that I was in a ball on my mom's floor after learning he had been physically unfaithful, I launched the Journey Beyond Betrayal. And for the past 1.5 years, I've had the joy of walking beside other women as they pursue healing from the same thing that shattered my heart 11 years ago. We have an amazing community full of beautiful women who are doing the hard work to find victory over their pain. And I coach women one-on-one as they build their own champion's mindset and walk their own path to healing. And I absolutely love it. I could never have imagined this 11 years ago. I have so much joy in what I do. So that may be you right now in the same situation that I was in 11 years ago. Or maybe there's something else that's frustrating or painful that you're facing right now. Or even a goal that you might have, similar to what I had as an athlete. I want us to, as we go into our breakout sessions, we're going to think about what in these situations is ours to own so that you can utilize a champion's mindset to find victory. We're going to walk through this exercise to label what we are in control of and what we have influence over and what we have to just accept and release. So I'm going to walk you through just a little bit of an example here. So in every situation, there are things that we can control that will fit into this circle. Then there's other things that we have influence over. And lastly, this is the frustrating and hard part sometimes, but there's always some things that we don't have control over. So in my track career, I had control over my effort, my technique, my coach, my mindset, how much preparation I put in, and my response to failure, success, and other things. I had the responsibility to show up, or I was in control of if I showed up. In my marriage, I was in control of my boundaries and limits, what I did for my healing. I had control over my prayer life and my effort, the resources that I sought out and were available to me. I was in control of what I communicated and then my responses. And then I was in control of my commitment to the marriage. Now, as far as track, what I had influence over was my sleep. Like, we shared rooms in college, so I could decide when I would go to sleep, but there's roommates. They would wake up at different times, go to bed at different times. I also had some influence over who cheered for me by who I would invite to come watch, but I couldn't necessarily make them come watch me. And then I also had influence over like injuries. I didn't have total control, but I could do some things that would help me prevent injuries. But ultimately, like my sophomore year, when the pole broke in the middle of the competition and cut my hand, I didn't actually have any control over that happening. In my marriage, I had influence over his choices by the way that I communicated. Same with his responses. I have influence over the triggers, because when you've been through trauma, you don't have total control of when a trigger will hit you, but you can start to control how you respond and make choices that will allow you to work through them more easily. And I did have influence over my future, but again, there was someone else. And so I didn't have total control. I also could influence, I had influence over if he would cheat again, but I didn't have total control of that. And you'll see there's actually, I'm going to skip there. As far as what I had to accept in my marriage, there is some things that cross over into both, right? Because I can influence his choices and his responses and him cheating again with the way that I respond to his behaviors and the things that I communicate and the things that I speak. But I ultimately don't have full control over it. And I do have to accept whatever his choices are, his pursuit of his own healing, his responses, the past, and his commitment to the marriage. So it is important to understand that while we don't have control and we have to accept certain things, prayer can still influence the things we can't control and the things we must accept. Prayer still has power over that. And I love this Mark Batterson quote. So you can work like it depends on God and pray like it depends on you. So we are going to go into our breakout sessions, and I want you each to figure out, think of that situation in
The
front
recording
of you,
has stopped.
And maybe it feels out of control. Maybe it's just a big goal that you're thinking about. And I want you to label each, like think about that situation and think about what you have control over, what you have influence over, and then what are the things that you need to accept. If there's time also, I want you to think about what is your biggest fear around what's in front of you? And that can be true whether you're thinking of this big, amazing goal or a very scary, painful situation. Think about if that biggest fear fits into the C or the I or the A category. Is it something you can control? Is it something that you have influence over? Is it something you have to accept? Maybe it crosses in between. And then in that thing that you're afraid of, what is holding you back from walking in the mindset of a champion? And then if there's still time, and maybe you'll need to do this later if we run out of time, but I want you to ask God to speak directly to that fear. Spend some time and listen to hear what he has to say to you about it. Maybe he gives you a verse. Maybe he speaks something directly to your heart, but listen to what he has to say to you. And then we're going to come back after we work through all of that.